students, we were doing chapter 6 population in India. We were doing Malthus theory. In that theory, we discussed that population increasing is more than food produced. So there must be balance. We are going to study birth rate concept and death rate, survival rate concept. Now, birth rate. We say birth rate. Birth means offspring taking birth. What is a birth rate? It is, in economics, it is the number of births occurring per 1,000 living population. What it means, divide the whole India into small groups of 1,000. Now, the 1,000 people in a group, what they will produce will be birth rate per 1,000 people. Every 1,000 people, what they produce, the group 1,000, then another group 1,000, what 1,000 people, 1,000 persons produce birth occurring per 1,000. The number of births occurring per 1,000 of the living population. Per 1,000 living population, births occurring is birth rate. So, the number of births occurring per 1,000 of living population during a year. In the same year, in that year in which you are calculating, number of births occurring per 1,000 living population. The population should be living. So the living 1,000 people giving births is the birth rate. Similarly, there is a death rate. What is a death rate? Number of people dying or number of deaths occurring per 1,000 of a living population. Same thing, group of 1,000 people. In that group of 1,000 people, how many people are dying is death rate. The number of deaths occurring per 1,000 of living population during a year. deaths occurring per 1,000 people surviving per 1,000 people living is death rate. Right? Birth occurring, death rate is the number of deaths occurring, birth rate is number of births occurring per 1,000. Group of 1,000 people, there is a group of 1,000 people, how many people are surviving, how many people are dying, that is birth rate and death rate. Whole India is divided in the groups and we calculate like that. What is the survival rate? Now, third is survival rate. Survival rate is the difference between birth rate and death rate. Number of people dying and number of people taking birth. Right? This is all about the concepts of population. Birth rate, death rate, birth rate, death rate, survival rate. Now, after this we will do the second theory, that is theory of transition. Theory of transition given by A.J. Quall and Hoover. Theory of transition. We are doing theories of population, theory of demographic transition. First we did Malthus, second is theory of demographic. Demographic, what does demographic means? Demographic, whenever the word demographic comes, demographic means related to population, size, structure, characteristics of population. Right? Theory of demographic transition. When we are saying demographic transition, that means change. That means change. Change in population. Now, the theory is given by A.J. Quall and E.M. Hoover. E.M. Hoover. A.J. Quall and E.M. Hoover have given this definition, where he says in his book, they both say in their book, that every country passes through 3 stages of population growth. Initially, the country's death rate and birth rate is high, then it moves to the low. More people die, more people take birth, and then it moves to low. It says that. Now, where India is lying, we will see in which stage India is lying. Where developed countries are lying in which stage. Okay. So, Quall and E.M. Hoover gave in their book, the book name is Population Growth and Economic Development in Low Income Countries. Population growth. He talked in his book, as name suggests, population growth. Book name is Population Growth and Economic Development in Low Income Country. We will study in the book low income countries, their population, how it grows, what are the economic development in low income countries. That is the name of the book, which was published in 1958. Generally specified the trends, the stages of population in the low income countries. Okay. So, the three stages we will understand. See, we study the population because we want to know the economic development, right? That is the reason. Now we will study the first stage. Stage first. In stage first, it is low growth population. Initially the population is less. Low growth. Initially the population, see, we have to learn these things because they are the theories. Initially the population is less. Why? Due to epidemic. Before 1921, what happened? People weren't educated. There were no medical facilities. People were orthodox in India. Malnourished children were there. Orthodoxity was there. Poverty was there. Epidemic spread was there, due to which there was low population growth. Low population growth. Now, because there was epidemic, death rate was low. Sorry, death rate was because epidemic was there, right? Death rate was high. Death rate was high. I told you initially, before 1921, the death rate was high because of epidemic. Lack of medical facilities. Cholera, plague, SARS, influenza. Their medical treatment weren't there, and people weren't aware about the medical treatment. So there was high death rate. Because people were quite orthodox, they weren't literate. They used to produce children. They used to produce more children, and death rate was also high. So low growth, ultimately the growth was less. Low birth rate and death rate was high in the first stage, right? It was in before 1921. This era is before 1921, the era pre-industrialization, when there is no industries, no employment, lack of medical facilities, due to which birth rate was high, death rate was high, right? People were quite orthodox, alright. Okay, now second stage. First stage before industrialization, 1921, and it is a very primitive stage. Second stage. Second stage, high growth rate of population. High, it is due to industrialization, high growth rate of population. High growth rate of population. Why was high growth rate? Because industrialization came. Industrialization came. Industries give what? Factories, industries give commerce. Commerce gives employment. Employment gives livelihood. Standard of living improves. People become literate. People able to send their kids to school. School opens. Government improves. Economic development happens. Due to which there is a high growth rate of population, right? Okay, India where population is high, right? Birth rate is high but death rate is low. In India, birth rate is high, that is more people take birth, and death rate is low. In this scenario, India is in the second stage where birth rate is high, death rate is low, decreasing. So this is why birth rate is high and why death rate is low. Why nowadays death rate is low? Because of improved medical facilities. Industrialization came, people living standard improved. Now people can afford their kids to go to school, feed their kids, right? But India is at the verge of entering into third stage, which is the stage of developed countries. India is a developing country. It is in the second stage. All the developing countries are the second stage. In the third stage are the developed countries, where birth rate and death rate both are declining. Right. Third stage. Third, birth rate and death rate both are declining. Both are declining. It is because in the third stage, it is a stage of developed countries. Developed countries have more industries. Industrialization is grows over there. There is a continuous development of the industries, due to which employment is generated, right? People are educated. People are aware that we should not produce more kids. We should not. So because it becomes difficult to nurture, difficult to provide standard of living if number of people grow. If we have more children, if parents have more children, it is difficult for a father to give him a great childhood with proper education. His money gets divided, and every child are not cared well. So they are quite educated, they are quite logical. That's why their birth rate is declining and death rate is also declining, because of the good medical facilities. They are quite aware, they do exercise, they follow routine, they have good medical facilities. That's the reason death rate is declining. And all the developed countries are in this stage, right? India is entering in this stage. Okay, after this we are going to study the demographic transition of India. Okay, we will study the birth rate and death rate during 1921, 1971 and in 2011 when the last survey was taken. Census survey was taken. Okay, I'm going to explain you with the graph.